So just what are the issues that ordinary people in Russia are most concerned with? And what are their aspirations for the future? Well, let's cross live to our correspondent Igor Ogorodnev, who's in the Kemerovo region in Siberia, the heart of Russia's coal mining industry, who can tell us more. Hello to you, Igor. You've been in Kemerovo for some time already and spoken to the local people. Are they looking positively to the future, or are they nostalgic about the past?
Well, James, as you can see behind me, there's a huge, imposing statue of Lenin here in the main square of Kemerovo. And in fact, that's a kind of a staple of every Soviet town, but this is a particularly Soviet town. This whole region was explored and developed during the industrialization of the 1930s under Stalin's time. So this region almost owes its existence and owes its kind of industrial significance to the Soviet times. So when I was coming here, I was personally expecting people to be very kind of nostalgic for the importance that this region played in the Soviet Union. But actually, I was quite surprised. People here do seem to be looking to the future, and almost everybody has said that life now is much better, and you know, it's day and night when you're comparing now and you're comparing 20 years ago. And in fact, 20 years ago, the mine workers here were some of the first to start strikes against the Soviet Union, and some of the first to express their discontent with what was happening. So this can be quite a politically progressive region. So it's not looking to the past, it's looking to the future. And for a little bit more on this, you can have a look at this report I compiled whilst traveling through the region.
They mined coal here under the Tsars and the Communists, and continue to do so. Even a change of government won't affect that. In Russia's coal heartland, party politics in Moscow is often seen as a gaudy sideshow, and personal perceptions trump political ideals.
Life has improved and stabilized. People grumble about the prices, but we haven't felt any shocks like in the past.
Any party that wins should improve living standards and raise salaries and provide steady development so we can be sure of our future. And our future is our coal.
Indeed, what is good for the miners is good for Kemerovo. Mineral resources still account for more than half of the region's GDP. Mining remains a risky profession, with hundreds of accidental deaths every year. But most coal miners earn about $1,000 a month, twice the national average. But is that enough to secure prosperity in the 21st century?
This may look impressive, but what it conceals is that many of these mines are working at a loss. And if the region is going to become an economic success, it will have to diversify.
More than 500,000 people live in the city of Kemerovo, the administrative capital. Here, the mayor's office is preparing for a transformation.
In the
future, this city will have to become a commercial center. The coal resources have exhausted their potential. The nearby mines will last another 50 years, but what then?
People like Igor Lysenko symbolize the region's future. After setting up a business selling tires in the mid-90s, he now owns a range of successful car dealerships and servicing stations.
It's an evolution. At first we supplied raw materials, then we started to process them, and only now is the consumer market growing.
Although the state of the economy remains the central issue here, there are others. The flip side of the region's heavy industry is the high level of pollution. Transport, healthcare and education are in need of modernization. Alcoholism and drug addiction are prevalent.
Igor, people say things have generally improved there, but do they have any complaints?
Yeah, I spoke to a couple of people in the last hour, and they had two complaints about the same problem with different sides of it. And the problem is housing. I spoke to Valentina. Valentina is a pensioner, and recently there has been a communal payments reform, a utilities reform, a housing reform, which means that people are going to be paying for what it costs to maintain their housing, to make the whole system more efficient, to integrate private companies so that they can make money off it, to replace the old-style Soviet system when it will be largely subsidized. But what this does mean that a lot of pensioners are not able to afford it, and a lot of pensioners are facing higher and higher costs which they have to pay in order to maintain their housing, and sometimes their pension cannot cover it. So that was the problem with Valentina. The problem with Anastasia, who's much younger, she's a brand manager, and she says that she has got the money to pay for her current housing, but she wants to improve it. She wants to get a new house, and there's a lack of affordable housing. Although there's a lot of building construction work going on in this city, the houses here are almost the same price as St. Petersburg. It's not as high, kind of sky-high prices as Moscow, but it's still extremely high, and it would take people years and years to pay off any kind of flat they'd buy with their salary, and mortgages are still quite difficult to get. So this kind of housing problem, it exists not only in this region, it's very symptomatic of the whole of Russia, but it definitely is an issue here.
Thanks very much, Igor. That was Igor Ogorodnev reporting there from Kemerovo.